Okay, what I'm trying to do now is to, this is just an old piece of pipe, and it's got a large piece of metal on the end. It's for old style water pumps. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is to forge weld that, going to be onto this piece of scrap, and then eventually I want to be able to add in to it all these other pieces of scrap as well. That's an old tip off a machete that I shortened. That's some old, don't think it's iron, but it's probably that old. Anyway, so that's the plan. I want to add all this stuff in using the charcoal forge and forge weld it all together. Maybe fold it a couple of times and then make something useful out of it. Anyway, that's the plan. Let's see how we go. Get this fire cranked up again. It's actually easier to forge weld at night time because you can get a better idea of the color of the the heat by the color of the flame. But anyway, I'll try to do it now. So what I'm looking for is, if I start seeing little sparkles, not these little ashes, but actually electric sparkles, be a bright white sparking, and that kind of tells me that the metal is up to temperature. In fact, it's probably getting a little bit on the too hot side. So as soon as I start seeing that happen, I need to get it out and try hammering it together. No, I actually should have put on some, maybe I'll do that next time. I should have put on some either silica sand or borax just as a welding flux. But anyway, I started it now. We'll see if it works without it. It's why blacksmiths normally work in a semi-dark environment. Yeah, I'm starting to see sparkles now. Alright. So what I intend to do, I'm just going to move it over to there, onto this corner, and give it a whack with a hammer. And hopefully they will join. Oh yeah, sparkling away. Now I should have put the sand on before, just to clean it out, so I don't know if this worked as a forged weld. I'll put it in one more time, get it up to temperature and slam it. starting to see sparkles again. Just doesn't look as hot this time, so I think that's just a piece of edge. So give that another minute or two. And that other, I threw just an old piece of saw blade in there. I'm going to heat that up and start folding it over, because I'm going to add that to this lump of metal. Nice yellow heat. I'm going to bring it over to my anvil again. So I think that worked. And normally how you can tell if it didn't, you'll see kind of like a dark edge inside there where it hasn't joined. But I'm pretty sure that's joined. I've got a good weld there. And if I haven't, when I hit here, it's going to crack off. And it hasn't. That was a good weld. Alright. Now, one more piece of this. Get that up to welding temperature. And I have a nice lump of steel to fold into a sword or something. Old-fashioned way. Just lost my pile. There we go. Gloves on. pause the video for now. It's going to take a while heating up that other piece of thing, and my camera's getting really hot. Okay, once again I'm starting to see sparkles, but it's mostly from the piece that's on the bottom. So I'm going to pull it out, give it a hammer, trying to get a partial weld at least, and then I'll put it in and turn it around a bit more. Just bring that up to temperature one more time, give it another bash. I think I've got a good weld. And then I'll be able to start forming that. This is where I wish I had an apprentice who could swing a bigger hammer. When you're on your own trying to do it, it's going to be a long process shaping that into something. What I need is a power hammer. Alright, once again I'll pause the video for a minute. Already had it out one time. I've got the videotape it, and I feel like I've got a good weld there. One, it doesn't come apart when I hit it on the side. It's not even. So I'm confident with that. Also, I'm not sure if you can see it, when it's like a bright yellow, orange, sorry, bright orange, if you haven't got a good weld, you'll actually see like a dark shadow inside where it hasn't welded. And this seems to be consistent throughout. That's how I can tell I got a pretty decent weld on it. Alright, I'm going to take a break for now. That's how to forge weld. Later on, I'm going to recycle all these little bits of scrap iron into this and then forge it into something. But to recycle these scrap bits, I'm going to have to sort of flatten this out, maybe even make a little bit of a tray in there and then start adding these little bits at a time. Anyway, that's the plan. Oh, also when you're working with charcoal forges, especially when you're working with a lot of heat, so if you've been working with a lot of heat with a charcoal forge, do not just throw water on top of it, you'll have a steam explosion. So you want to start slowly, a little bit around the outside, you know, start slowing down the temperature gradually. The end. Okay, just turn off the blower for a minute while I show you something. So in order to forge weld, it's really hard to get out. See that? Yeah. So just one guy alone trying to forge weld two pieces of metal can be quite difficult. And you're going to have to be creative, but one way or the other, your pieces of metal have to be held close together and both brought up to welding temperature, and then very quickly pulled out of the fire and hammered on. So if you're alone, you know, you'll see my little rig there. There's quite a few ways to do it, but if you're alone, you know, if I had an apprentice or someone to help me, one person could pull it out of the fire and the other one could hit it with the hammer, and I could form that weld a lot quicker. But if you are alone, you might try something like what I've done here, or you might rivet it, like actually put a steel rivet through those, so it means drilling a hole and then, you know, fitting the rivet that would hold it together. And then of course when you forge weld it, that rivet's just going to go squish into the rest of the metal. The other thing you can do is like a lap joint. You see my hands? So lap joint, you'll actually fold it over so the two pieces lock in together like that. Alright, and then, you know, that'll provide a mechanically close connection until you can bring it up to welding temperature and make the weld. Anyway, so I'm going to bring this up, I'm going to forge weld this, and then I'm going to straighten it out because I actually need a straight piece of 3/4 inch Rio rod. Okay, once again I'm looking for those little sparkles. I had a look, and at least one part of the two parts I'm trying to join is pretty much at welding temperature, so give it just a couple more moments and I'm going to pull it out and try and get a good hit on it. Alright, I got fairly good join on that, but it wasn't great. So I put it in, turned it around, and give it a few more moments, bring it out, give it another whack. One side of those two joints, the one on the bottom was melting basically, and so it was definitely up to temperature, but the one that was on the top, the piece that was on the top, wasn't quite hot enough. So one was a bright yellow on the bottom, the one at the top was a, you know, maybe a bright orange. So I turn it around, give them a minute, and then I'll hit them again. I'm going to turn off my blower. Sparkling, good. Put that in. So, see if you can see that. Yeah. I look to have got a fairly decent joint, although it did splatter out a bit on that bottom one, got too hot. But that should be alright. Now I'm going to pull apart my jig, make sure it actually worked. Put it back in the fire and then straighten it out. Alright. And I've got a break there. So I got that bottom one too hot. So I'll have to redo that again. Anyway. The bottom one was actually melting and burning, so I was not able to, although it welded here, the actual weld was good, but I'd already damaged the steel. So, anyway, I'll do that again. Okay, forge welding a lap joint might be something like this. testing that. I'm getting it too hot. Shouldn't be sparking just to shape it. But, so I'm going to make a lap joint just like that. Hit that down. That's going to give me a rough mechanical joint. So I'm going to put that back in the fire, heat it up to welding temperature, and give it a hit. That's better. So I'm doing a lap joint with some very thin metal, so I got to watch this very closely because it's going to burn fast. And also I'm doing it during daylight, so I can't see the colour. Alright, let's try that. Alright, I don't think I got that 100%, so I'm going to put it in, heat it up again. Better, and because I hit it one time before, it gives me a bit better chance to turn it around. It's a bit stronger joint. There we go. I think we're up to temperature now. Bright yellow, not quite sparkles, but alright, let's try that. I think that's good. Oh no, splitting a little bit at the end. I did get a weld in the middle, but the edges are a little bit iffy. Alright, try that again in a minute. Alright, so I'm just going to give this lap joint one more hit. Hopefully I'll get a bit better welding on the outside edges of it. So So I've got it sort of tilted to the side a little bit, so hopefully I'm going to heat those edges up a bit more. And I'll keep turning it around until I actually see the sparkles in it, and I'll go. Once again, this is harder during the day because you can't see the color of the steel as well. So anyway, it's the best time to try to do a demonstration, but it's definitely the hardest time to do it. And with steel this thin, by the time I probably are going to see the sparkles, I'm already probably burning it. See what that looks like. Yeah, I didn't see it sparkling as it came out, so it probably wasn't hot enough. Still recording, good. Getting yellow in there. I think I can see some sparkles. Right. That's better. Alright, that's a better joint. I saw the sparkles when it was coming out, and it's not splitting at the edges now, so that tells me I got a good weld on that one. Another thing, when it came out, I could see there was no shadows in the welding. Can't even see that, can you? So that was another indication it was a good weld. By the way, this lap welding is how they would have done wagon wheels back in the day.